Hey everybody, this is Dr. Maples, and today we're going to continue our conversation about sociology majors on the labor market. Now today we're going to talk about market analysis, an exciting field that is predicted to grow over the next decade, but also pays well and is a great fit for sociology majors. Now why is something in marketing a great fit for sociology majors? Well, to understand that, we actually have to go back to the start. We have to go back to the very beginning of sociology and think about how Auguste Comte created and designed sociology to be a field that would predict the future by thinking about the present and the past and the trends and data that we have from those eras. Now, on top of that, remember, sociology is a field that understands better than any other how and why individuals make the decisions that they make, and it understands these social trends that shape those experiences. This is market analysis to the T. So this is a great fit for sociology majors. Now for all of our labor market videos, we're going to go through the same steps. We're going to talk about sociology skills you'll get from your required classes. We'll talk about some sociology electives you'll want to take. We'll also talk about your Gen Ed classes and things that you'll want to take to reinforce this career. We'll point out some possible minors or certifications you may want to get, and we'll even think about some skills that you won't get in your major. And sociology majors, beware. This is one of those rare fields that we've got some additional work to do. It's not scary work, but it's additional work nonetheless, so pay close attention to that step. Finally, we'll talk about some great things you might want to point out when you get to that application process and putting your cover letter and resume together. Now, before we get started, I do want to say I appreciate if you'd like and subscribe to this channel. Whenever I get likes and subscriptions, wake up in the morning and see them on my phone, always makes me feel like I'm doing what I need to do. So they always kind of make my morning a little brighter, and I sure do appreciate them. Likewise, you always feel free to leave comments below because I love chatting with you. All right, we got a lot to talk about today, so let's get started. Now, first things first, what is market analysis? This is where we take economic and social trends and we use that information to try and predict what's going to happen in the future. Sociology, right? We're going to try to predict how a product, how an idea or service may or may not be attractive to a target demographic in say 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We're going to try to understand how these trends shape the ability to make something profitable. Now, with a marketing analysis job, you're going to do a couple of things. You're going to be doing things that are called strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats reports, or SWOT analyses. And you're going to do a lot of those. That's a very important part of the job. You're going to do demographics work. You're going to target demographics for a particular product or a service, understand who would want it, who would not want it. You're also going to be thinking about social trends and trying to link these to understanding market size, market changes, the growth potential for that market. Even if investment is a logical idea at this point in a particular field. It's little simple things like, is this a great time to invest in dial-up modems, or is this a great time to look at the next innovation of whatever modems may be in 10 or 15 years? Little things like that are right there in the realm of market analysis, and it's a perfect fit for sociology majors. Now, what's this market look like for the future? Well, market analyses jobs, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they're predicting that it's, first off, you're getting about an average of $65,000 a year, and that the market for this job is going to grow by 22%, which is faster than the rest of the careers out there. These are both good things. I do always want to point out, though, to my Kentucky students, $65,000 as a mean salary here, it's kind of misleading because if you're living in places like, say, Kentucky or Tennessee, you're probably going to be paid less. Whether you're living in, say, New England or California, that's probably going to get higher pay. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these jobs. But $65,000 is a great starting median salary. So this is a good field. It's a good match for our majors. Let's dig into a little bit more about what you'd be doing in the major that's relevant. Now, first off, for your required classes, there's some key things we want to do. First off, with your intro sociology class, I want you to pay attention to the conversations about things like deviance, social trends, culture, socialization. These are all ideas that'll come into play in your job because these represent very big social forces that shape people's experiences, ideas, and more. And they also shape the market. So we want to think about these things in your job. Second, when you're working on your social statistics class, try to get access to some customer satisfaction data, or if you can't get that because it's not always publicly available, maybe look and see what kind of satisfaction data you could use for the general social survey, which is free and publicly available. This will help you understand how we do satisfaction scales, scoring, some basic statistical analyses, and more. When you get to your theory class, this is one of those careers that is very theoretical. You want to be able to take really big ideas and attach them to real world data, kind of what Auguste Comte wanted us to do and kind of what you're going to be doing all the time in a market analysis job. So pay attention to how that functions in a theory class. How do you take these really big ideas and link them to existing data to explain what you find? Now, when you're in your research methods class, gosh, that class is just pure gold. Everything you do is going to be relevant to this field. You're doing survey design, you're doing quantitative analyses and research design. All of that stuff is going to be pure gold for what you'll do in this job. So pay attention to it and make sure that you're good at it. And then when you get to your capstone seminar, that final class at the end of your major, do something that involves satisfaction data and understanding what kind of variables might shape it. A really easy target would be to collect data from your fellow students in the class, do convenience samples of your professor's courses. You can work with them to make that happen as like an extra credit survey, and get some data on why students are doing something like choosing to go to graduate school, choosing to go to the labor market, choosing to leave the area right after they graduate. The sky's the limit. Think of any number of things that you might be interested in doing after you graduate and see if other students feel the same way. Then look at demographic patterns and try to understand what might shape that. Maybe if their parents had a college degree, does that shape their interest in going to graduate school? I don't know, it probably does. So do some research on that. You'll have some great experience for your cover letter when you're applying for those jobs. Now, all majors have 12 to 15 hours more or less of extra courses that you're going to take. Here for sociology, I'm going to suggest that you take a demography course. You need to understand trends like births, deaths rates, movement rates, in-migration, out-migration, and so forth. Gerontology is also a good one because that's basically a marketing analysis course geared towards an older and aging population in the United States. You're going to learn a lot of great data in there. A media course could be helpful. That might help you understand how things like social media shape our experiences and our ideas and more, which that in and of itself is a great example of marketing analysis for maybe applications. Social change courses, or maybe even like a community sociology class, could be useful because those will help you understand trends. And it's not listed there, but maybe a social problems class might also work. A qualitative class could be good. Something that maybe talks about interviewing or focus grouping could really be beneficial to this career. And finally, diversity classes are always beneficial because they help us understand how a group of people with a particular demographic variable are experiencing our society just slightly differently. These are all some useful classes. You can't go wrong, and I guarantee your sociology major at any university is going to have all or most of these classes. Now, when you get to your gen eds, you're also in luck. There's some really clear, easy things to consider. First off, take your English classes, because guess what? You are already required to take English 101 and English 102, or some similar number. But the thing is those two classes are gonna help you learn to be a better writer and a better speaker. And if you're a better writer, you're going to be able to summarize results and write them down and share that information. And if you're a better speaker, you're going to do better in your communication class when you take a public speaking course for your other gen ed. And I don't mean one of those online ones. I literally mean a class where you have to get in front of people and talk about specific topics, extemporaneous speaking, whatever it might be. That is going to make you so much better at presenting results when you're having to do that as part of your job. Now, this next one you're not going to like, because those first two were pretty great, right? Okay, maybe not the public speaking class. But you know what? A really great one that you could take here would be a stats class. I know. If you don't want to take a stats class, leave a comment below. But seriously, a stats class is going to make you better at this. The thing is you could take a social statistics class in sociology, and you're going to cover the basics. But having a stats class is going to make you that extra little bit better and that extra little bit more confident in what you know. And confidence is going to be an important part of this career. You're going to need to be able to convince people that what you're telling them is accurate data. And having that just slightly more experience in statistics is going to help you do that. Another one is an economics class. Now, this one might be a hard one to find because you probably won't see this for a lot of gen eds, but sometimes it pops up. And if you do see a basic economics or maybe even a basic market class, Having that extra little bit of information about how the economy works could be beneficial. You may also find some sociology courses in political economy at your university that could also fulfill a similar thing for one of your electives. Finally, and this one may seem weird too, but taking a post-1950s, say, history class is going to really help you understand not only the sociological trends that you've already learned in your classes, but apply them to history and understand how great social movements and changes in things like the 1960s have had major changes on how we think about products today. So all of these are going to make you that much better for when you hit the labor market. On top of that, there's some great minors and certifications you might want to think about. Now, there's some obvious ones here. Business, marketing, if you have those available and you want to take them, those are perfect fits. They're great minors for market analysis folks. They fit perfectly in. I don't even have to explain those. Management, if it's available, or maybe community leadership, if that's what it's called at your college or university, that could be a good one. There's not always minors on this, but you might find a certificate on that, and it could be super valuable because you're going to need to learn to manage teams, work with teams, and more. A communications minor can also be great because really, communications minors are all about helping you present yourself that much better, learning to share information and more. And that's what you're going to be doing as part of your career. Finally, a psychology minor could be a great fit for this one because anyway, it's going to help you understand how the individual thinks, and it could even help you understand a lot of what you've learned in sociology in a slightly new angle. Now, when it comes to extra skills, we do need some extra attention here. This first one is important. You're going to need, as a sociology major, to find a way to get some experience with a SWOT analysis. SWOT analyses are easy to learn. I can tell you this, they're not going to be in any sociology class that you're going to take, at least that I've ever seen. But there's free certifications online, there's free YouTube courses, there's even paid courses at universities on things like Ed2Go at my university, and you can learn how to do just this. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's going to be something you're going to need. Now, I will say that taking a 100 or 200 level marketing class almost always is going to include doing a SWOT analysis. And so that's going to give you a skill set that if you can include it somewhere in a minor or even just taking it as an extra class, it's going to prepare you for this field and it's going to make sure you get that skill. Second one is making sure that you know how to use a satisfaction scale. And that's basically Likert items and understanding too some of the major customer service scales out there and common measures that people use in this field. This is a Google search away. It's also something that you can bring into your research methods class or even your social stats class or that dreaded stats class that you might want to take for your gen ed that I told you about. Learn about these, make sure that you feel comfortable how to design them, how to use them, how to create the statements, and more. Get some experience too. I think that's an important part of this field because there's going to be a lot of people who are applying for this that have zero experience, but they have maybe training. So you want to have your training in line, which you will, but having that extra little bit of experience, being able to say in research methods, I did this paper on using these, customer service measures, or in my senior seminar, I was able to measure, what changed people's decisions to go to graduate school and things like that. And having that experience that you can bring up in your cover letter, it's going to make you that much better a candidate and that much more likely that you get the job and the handshake and the cool paychecks and all the other cool things that come with that. Finally, two things. First off, go ahead and see if you can find a short course, whether that's through Ed2Go, a YouTube course, or even a course at your university that talks about app design. I'm not saying you need to be able to build an app. I just think that having a knowledge of how apps are built could be really valuable for this career because applications and market analysis, these things go hand in hand right now. Apps are going to be driving big portions of our economy in the future. And we know with things like Facebook being down for 6 hours, it changes everything from business marketing to sales on down. So having a little bit of basic knowledge about how apps work and how they're constructed could be very helpful, especially if you need to work with developers in your job. Finally, go ahead and get that ethics certification. You usually get that in a research methods class. All my students do. And it's free at the university. It takes a couple of hours at most, and it makes sure that your employer will know that you are an ethical researcher. And it's a cool thing that you can bring up in your cover letter. Speaking of cover letters, let's talk about that for a moment. I've got 4 things I want to suggest to put on this cover letter in addition to anything else you might want to put. By the way, if you'd like me to do a video on doing cover letters, put that in the comments below. I'll see what I can do. Now, first off, In this cover letter, you need to show that you got evidence of your experience. Show things that you can do. Show that you know how to use and design scales. Show that you know how to do SWOT analysis. Show that you can do things like understanding what a paper that explains why people make decisions. Any experience that you can link back to specific things in your time in college or this extra skills that you've learned is going to be purely gold here. And so you got to keep those in mind. Second, talk about the fact that you're very comfortable linking trends to decisions and data. People do this because this is happening in the world. This particular kind of industry is no longer relevant because Gen Z feels this way. These are the kinds of things that you can bring all of your classes in, even that history class I told you to take. See, that's why I brought it up. And you can loop all this together to show that you really understand how and why people make decisions. Spend some time pointing out that you're ready to get started and just hit the ground running. I think this is a really valuable one to point out because if you know how to do a SWOT analysis and you know how to use quantitative methods, do basic statistical analyses, write reports, you're ready. You've got all the basic skills that are going to be needed. There's no additional training. There's no additional schooling. You're ready to hit the ground running. They'll put a pen in your hand and you can start running your first SWOT analysis. Also point out too how your courses and your training have really prepared you for that running start. Point out that you are an ethical researcher, that you are experienced in conducting research. Point out that you're ready to do whatever it is that your employer is needing done, and you're gonna hit the ground running. There's no additional work required. That's gonna make you an attractive applicant, and I'm pretty sure that you're gonna get the job if you took that stats and that history course that I took or suggested that you take. Anyways, you're gonna get this job, you're gonna do it. Make sure you are prepared for it and make sure that cover letter really sells you and shows that you're an ideal candidate. All right, market analysis is an exciting sociology major job. It's a field that pays well. It's a field that's going to continue to grow. It's not going anywhere. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, this is a great time to get in on this field. And it's not going to require a lot of extra work for your sociology major. It's going to require just a little bit of extra skill and some thought in the classes that you take, and that's going to prepare you for this labor market. All right, that's going to be it for this video. Now first, if there's another career you'd like me to look at or do a video on, put it in the comments below. I enjoy getting your feedback on that. And if you haven't, I'd appreciate it if you'd go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Try to put out videos every Wednesday for you so that you can know that they're out there. And if you subscribe, you'll get a little notification about that, or you'll see it pop up in your feed. That's going to cover everything for today. If there's something that you have as a question or something you'd like to chat about, leave it in the comments below. I enjoy chatting with you. Look forward to hearing from you. That's all we got for today. We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks.